Let's find out what's bumping with the bottom feeders in mail time. I'm going to get the first one. I'm going to go to the glasses here. Okay, here we go. How are you feeling about the golfer you criticized for taking so long last week at Pebble, winning this week at Riviera?
Tony, the drama made it just fine. As you know, the drama trying to sink a putt and not look like you and me on a Sunday afternoon playing for money. When you wound up admitting your hands were, you couldn't even feel your hands. Not your hands were shaking. You couldn't feel them. That's wow. That's an admission. I love that. That makes it more appealing to me. But I want to hear you, by the way, because even though I was annoyed by standing on the beach for like 40 minutes, he made you crazy because he did that a week ago. But to me, Tony, he's more appealing as an athlete when you have that kind of thing happen to you before you've won, before you've conquered the big stage, and you admit it, loved it.
I tip my hat to Jacob Bridgman, who I always referred to as Junior Bridgman for obvious reasons. I knew he was not going to have his feet in the Pacific Ocean trying to hit the ball over the rocks out of the sand like he had at Pebble. At Riviera, you can see it, but you're not anywhere near it, you know, and what seemed to take hours and hours and hours. But he went wire to wire at Riviera. He had a 6-shot lead going into the final round on Sunday, and nobody was really pressing him. Kitayama and McIlroy, certainly Kitayama missed makeable birdie putts, and I thought McIlroy missed makeable birdie putts. The pressure was all internal. Bridgman backed up. He backed up his last 11 holes. He had 10 pars and a bogey. But then, Mike, as we've talked about, he hit that great second shot on 18. It's a great shot. And then his putt, you heard in the booth, they said, oh, no. It was like almost 5 feet short. But he made it. Good for him. He made the whole thing. And as you said, he said, I couldn't even feel my hands. Yeah, that's nervous. That's nervous. So,
last one.
Here we go. Is LeBron, I need glasses. Is LeBron right that Jaylen Brown is being overlooked in the MVP conversation?
I think so, Tony. Not wildly overlooked. Somebody asked LeBron about this yesterday. The Celtics sort of, gave the Lakers a smackdown in L.A. I do vote, and I don't even have a ballot in my head yet, but I'll put one in there now. And I probably would go Cade Cunningham 1. Jaylen Brown would be no lower than 3rd because I got Wembanyama in somewhere in there, probably 4th for Wembanyama, and Nikola Jokic might be 2nd. So those 4 guys would be in the mix, and Jaylen Brown could be 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. So I wouldn't have him as low as 6th, like apparently is the case now in some of these straw polls. So I'm with LeBron. Two-way player. You've mentioned early on, kudos to you, the Celtics look great because of Jaylen Brown, and they do.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know who LeBron is listening to. I don't know what LeBron is seeing. But I don't know how you can have a ballot and not have Cade Cunningham and Jaylen Brown actually at the top of it. I mean, what are you watching? Cade Cunningham is the best player on the team with the best record in the NBA. Jaylen Brown is the best player on the most surprising team in the NBA, a team without its best player, without Jason Tatum. They're up there. They're elevated because of Jaylen Brown. I know you slurp Wembanyama all the time, but I don't believe Wembanyama is more valuable this year than Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, he has stepped up. I mean, look, when you talk about Gilgeous-Alexander and Jokic and Luka, they are doing what they're supposed to do. We know who says that, supposed to do. This guy is exceeding expectations, Jaylen Brown. I mean, Jaylen Brown is either
No
1 or
doubt.
2 for me, and Cunningham is the other.
What, Tony,
me.
I said 1, 2, or 3, so it's not like we're in massive disagreement there. No, Jaylen Brown's having a hell of a season. And by the way, don't mention Luka. No, Luka doesn't even get... No, Luka's not first team All-NBA. I don't care about 32 points a game. The Lakers are like the 12th out of all the playoff teams, and I guess there's going to be 16 of them. The Lakers are no higher than 12. He's playing with LeBron. He's playing with Austin Reeves. No, don't want to hear it.
Enough email. Let's take one last break. Still to come, Angels owner Artie Moreno wonders how much fans care about winning. Well, if you put a winning product out there, they'd show you.
Been a while since they've done that. And who has the edge when the Spurs, with Wembanyama, who Tony doesn't like yet, face the Pistons tonight? NHL, one of the early things regularly on the Deuce. like 45 years ago? Wasn't that a thing?
I don't know. I just know that we're on ESPN2 so that people can hit golf balls into a bed sheet, which I like, and you don't. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Winter Olympics conclude. Duke tops Michigan, and LeBron has some thoughts on MVP. But we begin today one last time with the Winter Olympics and the gold medal hockey game yesterday, in which the United States beat Canada 2-1 on a 3-on-3 goal by Jack Hughes, 1 minute and 41 seconds into the overtime. The U.S. goalie Connor Hellebuyck turned away 41 shots in an outstanding performance, and Canada's Jordan Binnington stopped 28 shots for Canada. Canada and the United States were expected to make the final, and they did. Wilbon, how did you like the game and the outcome?
Tony, I'll hit the outcome first because that's what everybody's focused on, even if people didn't watch the game and you had to wake up pretty early to do so on a Sunday morning. It was almost anticlimactic, as spectacular as it was, you know, and as wanted as it was for the United States of America and the people who follow the team. The game was unbelievable. I thought the third period alone was just sort of the most sustained, great period of hockey that I've ever seen. And so I'm comparing it to, yes, periods in Game 7s and Game 6s for the Stanley Cup Final. That's mostly what I'm comparing it to. I've seen some Olympic hockey in person. This surpassed that, and I thought that was great. So the level of play was astounding. The action, the end-to-end rushes were amazing, and the goaltenders, like you talked about. It's just the score, it seems, could have been like 6-1 Canada, given all of the saves made, and just by Hellebuyck. So the goaltending alone is a story, and it's just it's wow. I don't know how you get a better gold medal game and a better period of play than we got yesterday.
Let me just say that in the East Coast, the game started at 8:15, which is not a hardship to get up on a Sunday morning at 8:15. You're a couple of time zones away, I'm sure. I watched every second of the game, and I'm not a hockey guy. It was as great a game as you could ever hope for, it seemed to me. The goals were fabulous, and there weren't too many of them, and that's important because the goaltending was terrific. The goaltending, as you said, carried the entire game, I felt. It's odd because when I think of NHL goalies, I first think of Russian goalies, but they, of course, were not there. I held my breath throughout every power play. I didn't think the United States could get through the 4-minute power play against them in the third period, and it turned out that Canada committed a penalty as well, so they didn't have to get through all of that. I felt that the winning goal, was right out of a textbook. It was fabulous. Now, it's not Eruzione. It's not, but it's in the environs, as we like to say. Here's this kid, his parents are there, his brother is on the team, and his smile of joy reveals all the teeth got knocked out about 3 minutes earlier in the game. I mean, it was tremendous, right? And it's a great win for the United States because it's first time in 30 years that best on best between Canada and the United States, that the United States won. My small quibble, Mike, is with 3-on-3. It's a very small quibble.
You don't like it much?
If I ran the world, I loved it. But if I ran the world, I'd have gone 15 or 20 minutes of 5-on-5 to get to 3-on-3. I wouldn't have gone 3-on-3 just as an expedience to end the game. I found myself agreeing with the Canadian coach who said, when you take 4 players off the ice, hockey is not hockey anymore. But it's a small quibble. I am totally satisfied by that experience. It was great.
I don't even have that quibble tone because I think that 3-on-3 is a lot closer to 5-on-5 than penalty shots, than shootout. And I know that's not the way it's decided, but 3-on-3, I mean, wow, we saw, and Canada benefited to get there from a 3-on-3 goal in overtime. So, they better not quibble either. Yeah, the game before. So I don't want to, I'm with you. I can see a small quibble. I don't even have that because I find it breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking, the whole thing. So let's zoom out to look at these winter games as a whole. Alyssa Liu ended a 24-year gold medal drought in women's figure skating for the United States. Ilya Malinin, the quad god, won team gold but fell apart in men's singles, placed 8th. A gruesome injury ended Lindsey Vohn's odds-defying Olympic run. Michaela Schifrin hurdled her mental block and skied to goal in her final race. So these are just a few of the biggest stories, American stories, Tony. How are you going to remember the games?
All right, you and I have been to Winter Olympics. We know what they're about. I don't want to sound like a downer because I really like the Winter Olympics. But for me, early on, all of those disappointments took a toll on me. Let's start with Lindsey Vonn. That was the first one. She has that terrible crash. The quad god, as you said, he falls twice. He doesn't get onto the podium. Michaela Schifrin, her first two races, is way out of the money. She's not even close to the podium. Chloe Kim, silver instead of gold. And so this builds up in me. Now, I understand it got better second week. Michaela Schifrin had the most dominating slalom race into anybody's memory, the most dominating. As you said, Alyssa Liu, she wins for the first time in that event since Sarah Hughes in 2002. Men's and women's hockey win gold in overtime against a big rival, against the number one rival, Canada. So it begins to balance out. But I have to say there was a certain deflation for me early that made it hard for me to embrace what happened the rest of the way. Elena Myers, right? Is that her name? I believe that's her name. She won in the bobsled, an American, and Stoltz won a couple of speed skating races. But I had more negatives than positives. I did.
Yeah, I a couple of reactions. One, I love being at the Olympics, Tony. As you know, it's different. You consume them differently. I don't just consume American news when I'm at the Olympics. I get to see up close and identify international athletes that I would not if I was sitting in my house in front of a television, which is how I consume them now. So that is always missing, and I'm just not into the only American stories. It's not exclusively the American Olympics to me. I cannot get away, particularly with this latest post from Lindsey Vonn. The fall, which could have been, I mean, it was devastating as it was athletically, competitively. It could have been worse than that. It could have been tragic, as she has posted. And so I hear that, and going into these games, Lindsey Vonn, because we've known her from so many Olympic Games and World Championships and her public People magazine sort of life in the United States of America, maybe worldwide, we know her. And in my case, I've met her once. I was going to root for her. And she's not in. She's not in very long, and now we get this updated account. And I'm just like, whoa, I need to move to something else here because I'm just glad that it sounds like she's going to be okay. That's what I leave these games hoping for.
Let me make a correction. It's Elena Myers-Taylor who won in the bobsled event. And I will just say briefly, I know you don't watch the figure skating. I love the pairs figure skating. Love it. Love to watch it. Thought we got completely hosed in the ice dancing, and I like most of it, although it's made up events. I mean, curling is not made up; it's probably still going on. Cross country skiing probably still going on.
It's like the original.
Let's move to college basketball and the terrific games that went on over the weekend among high-ranking teams. Number 3, Duke beat number 1 Michigan Saturday evening in Washington D.C. Number 4, Arizona beat number 2 Houston in Houston. Number 6, Iowa State lost at number 23 BYU, and number 8 Kansas lost at home by 16 to unranked Cincinnati. That is the most lopsided home loss to an unranked team in Bill Self's 23 years in Lawrence, Kansas. Wilbon, after all that, who would you make the number 1 seed right now?
Duke. I'd make Duke the overall number 1 over in Michigan, the next number 1. If I'm ranking them 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd go Duke, Michigan. And then there are arguments other way. You know, I think the AP put Arizona 3rd. I'm fine with that. So Arizona and Houston would be in that mix, right? So that would be, but 1 and 2, my top number 1 seeds would be Duke and Michigan. That game was incredible, Tony. And I found myself looking at that game more for the individual players, because we're going to get to March. We have plenty of time for that. I wanted to see the players. We talked to Jay Billis a few days ago about how many players. He mentioned 20. And I certainly agree, just watching all weekend long, not just those games Saturday afternoon, but A.J. Dubasca on Saturday night, I believe it was, for BYU. There's a whole slew of players out there. Cincinnati's got a kid. There's a slew of players, and I wanted to individually identify them. So when we get to March, I know what I'm seeing, but to answer your question, Duke would be my top seed.
Yeah, if they're at 20, then you don't have to tank. And if they're at 20, you can just flatten all the odds for the teams that are in the lottery. If they're at 20, maybe they're at 20. I, too, would put Duke number one because it's very impressive that they beat Michigan on a neutral court because Michigan was the number one team. You know, Duke's got a couple of losses, but one of them, I believe, is to Iowa State, who I think beat Arizona at some point. Is that in my notes? Yeah. And then they also lost to a blood rival, North Carolina in Chapel Hill. So they're one. I would differ with you. I would have Arizona, too. I think the AP has Arizona, too, because Arizona beat Houston and Houston. And here's who else Arizona has beaten this year already, Mike. Florida, UConn, Alabama, and BYU. And that's very impressive.
Resume. Great resume.
Yeah, I would slide Michigan in there right at 3. And I would acknowledge that Michigan had an incredibly difficult back-to-back, Purdue and Duke. You know, coming out 1-1 on that is not bad at all. So that would be my top 3. I will say this, that I'm getting very anxious for March and for the tournament because in the last couple of weeks, we have had really good teams play really good teams all the time. We've been able to see this. It's going to continue like that. And there are teams I haven't really dwelt on, like UConn, for example, and St. John's has won 13 in a row. Florida, you know, is, I believe the defending champion. So with football out of the way and the Olympics out of the way, I got to have something to watch. So why not watch this?
You got Houston, Kansas. You got Houston, Kansas tonight. Yeah. In case you're not interested in Pistons Spurs, you got that.
I think Arizona gets Iowa State and Kansas at home in the next couple of weeks. The guy who